Sorry about
Was that a getting started?
Oh yeah, did you like that? The very professional like transition from the party into the.
I think you're gonna take. You want the mic? Yes. All right. Okay.
Yes.
That'll be fine. You're on.
Hello. Hello, my name is Ilo. So this is San Diego Graphic Designer Guild associated with the San Diego Creative Guild. So I would like to thank Kevin for being our speaker tonight. Cool guy. I would like to thank Peter for being our guest host tonight. Hannah right there. And Scripto is our sponsor, so they do amazing stuff. They do trophies, they do promotional stuff, so and they are priced right. And then also Imprint Magazine, that I am the editor and the owner. And it's going to be our sponsors tonight, so we're going to have some raffling. So stay tuned. Thanks for coming. And last but not least, thank you all of you for coming tonight. Okay, and we have some other cool stuff coming up. Okay, stay tuned.
Prizes.
Thank you very much.
Prizes.
Prizes, yes.
I love prizes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. I hope you've gotten yourself a drink or a caffeine or a chocolatey treat or a little nosh. Get yourself settled in tonight and be comfortable here at the World Resources Sim Center. Big fan of the place in Peter, so we've been down here several times working in his fun room of technology. You know, if my beach house was a little bigger, I'd put in a room like this, you know, with 12 monitors and lots of computers, but it isn't. So I come down here and borrow my friend's room every once in a while. Ilo, thanks for inviting me down tonight. And tonight we are going to have a conversation amongst us. So it may have looked as if you're going to come watch me talk for an hour, and that is not the case. You're going to watch me start talking and then try and prompt you all to talk. More of a community discussion than a presentation. So I don't get out much. It's nice to meet some new people, and we're going to talk about some things. Sound like a nice evening?
Yep.
Feel free to get up at any time. You know, this isn't like, you know, like you're at anywhere like super fancy and special. Surely you can tell by my Green Lantern t-shirt that this is a casual event. And that is intentionally so, which is in stark contrast to some of my other more formal stuff. So it's nice to see you come to the event, and I look forward to learning more about you tonight. So tonight's topic is, what do you do? Yes, please.
Okay, just a minute.
Cue the giant presenter. We're working on the like electronic fanfare music, like dun 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 dun. In the interim, we'll jump in.
We'll let you do that. You be the big giant presenter.
Dun, dun, dun,
Your arm sometimes maybe in that way.
Cue the giant presenter.
It's coming. It's coming. Hang
I
on.
can't make it go any longer than it is.
Stretch. Stretch, Kevin. Stretch. That's it.
Stretch. How about those Padres? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. It's coming. It's slowly it turns, inch by inch. And there we go. Is it about 3 million lumens?
No, it's actually I need if you got an upgraded projector, I'm looking for a 3,000 lumen.
Yeah. Well,
So those with you that gear in the back of your 3,000 lumens is my new target.
Right? Illustrator 3, that's okay. I can still make this work.
Okay.
Right? So, what do you do? Trends and lessons learned on job titles for creatives. We're going to talk about job titles. I've had my agency for 23 years, and I've changed my job title probably about 8 times. And there's a bunch of reasons why. I'm going to talk about why you have to change your job title, why you probably should change your job title. We're going to look at kind of the evolution of job titles in the creative industry, and try and make some sense of how did we get here, and what do we do next. Okay, so I'd like to start off with a video that is a part of my book, 20 Years Communications, 20 Leaders, 20 Questions, Hundreds of Lessons. And in the book, I interviewed 19 other professionals that had been in the business for 20 years. I figured after 20 years, maybe we all learned something. So the first thing I wanted to know from these people that I thought the readers would want to know and the viewers of the videos, who are you and what do you do? And I thought this short video would be an introduction to a selection of people that we all work with, have worked with over the years, and just listen to their job titles, what they do, and how they describe what they do to the viewers. Okay? Oh, that's not the soundtrack. Oh no, that sounds cooler than what I had.
That's it for what?
That's gonna get really cool. There you go. Let's put that on pause and try this again. This party was gonna go in a whole other different direction, I think, right?
We're going backwards.
I know, man. I was gonna go get a wine.
70s?
I'm like, it's a little funkadelic. Let's try this. This is kind of cool too.
I'm Kevin Popović. I am the founder of Idea House and the author of Satellite Marketing. And I help my clients figure out what to say and how to say it.
I'm Glenn Przeworski, and I direct and photograph TV commercials.
Bill Flanagan. I'm the Executive Vice President of Corporate Relations for the Allegheny Conference on Community Development and our affiliates. So that's the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, the Greater Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce, and the Pennsylvania Economy League of Southwestern Pennsylvania.
I'm Julie Smith, and I'm the principal and president of RJW Media. We're a full-service media firm based in Pittsburgh, and we handle planning and buying, media planning and buying for our clients.
My name is Brian Bernal. I am the president and executive creative director for the Mullen office for the Pittsburgh office of Mullen.
My name is Jose. My name is Guido D'Elia, and I am a partner in Mind Over Media. I consult on strategic issues with the company and with client issues with problem solving and projects.
I'm Chauncey Smith, and I'm the Chief Sales and Marketing Director for Science Media. We're a small independent shop that creates customized medical education, sales training, and communications.
Well, I'm Rob Diener, and I am founder and Market Street Sound. I'm a composer, an audio producer, music producer, recording engineer. Anything in advertising that squeaks, honks, or sings, or boinks, that's what we do all day.
I'm Paige Beal. I'm an assistant professor in the Sport Art Entertainment Management program at Point Park University. So I teach an undergraduate and graduate. I teach marketing and advertising, and principally addressing it from a sport art entertainment management perspective.
Don Decker. I work for Comcast Spotlight, regional sales here in Pittsburgh. Entails selling local and regional clients our interconnect, or basically time on one of our 50 plus cable networks.
My name is Michael Hills. I'm the Vice President General Manager for Comcast Spotlight, which is the television and internet advertising division of Comcast.
My name is Rick Landesberg. I'm a graphic designer, and I have a design firm called Landesberg Design. We've been in business for 28 years.
My name is Mike Lee. I am a producer, writer, actor, director, etc. for myself and for a company that I have called Studios One.
My name is Michael Lotanero. I am a painter, designer, illustrator, musician, dad. Pretty much whatever comes my way that day is pretty much what I do. So that's the best way to put it, I guess.
Well, my name is Saul Markowitz. I'm the president of Markowitz Communications. And for the past 20 years, I volunteered to do PR. Actually, I don't get paid to do any of this stuff. I just do it for fun, right?
My name is Dennis Moran, and I run my own business, a company called Dennis Moran Design, and I've been running that since 1988. Our business is primarily kind of strategic level graphic design.
I have to say that name again, huh? I'm Raylan Musaraka, and I'm a digital strategist.
David Slavak. I'm a vice president and group account strategy director at Brunner Advertising.
Roy Sharon, Director of Business Development at Mind Over Media.
My name is Jack Wolf, and I currently am a commercial photographer. I worked in an advertising agency. I was in television production,
I was an actor in the first MTV video. I'm the author of line 1 for the thumb. That's the biggest thing I'll ever do. And to top it off, I'm going to end up as a messenger. I think so. I'm going to go the whole routine in the advertising world. What do you do?
So, I'm a communications director. That's what I tell people this year that I do. Right? Right? My company helps figure out what to say and how to say it to our target audiences. But besides being a communications director, I'm also a speaker. As evident, I'm in front of you speaking this evening. And of course, I'm an author. I wrote a book. So I have all these things that I want to tell people that I can do. But sometimes it gets very confusing that I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. And when I started the agency in 1990, it was called a creative communications agency. And I was very particular in the words that I selected because we handled all types of communications, but we wanted to put emphasis that we were a creative shop, but we handled everything. So I would have some people that would question us and say, oh, so you're an advertising agency. We're like, well, sure, we do advertising, but we handle all types of communications. And somebody said, oh, so you're a design shop. He goes, well, yeah, we do design as part of overall communications. So then this one guy says, so you're a jack of all trades, master of none. Right, and I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, no, I'm kind of like Bruce Lee. Like, I learned all these forms, and I can kick your ass with whatever I got laying around. Right? But to the guy's point, right, it seemed like I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. And that's a challenge for a lot of us who started out being very simple. When I got started in the business, I was, graphic designer. I was excited to tell people I'm a graphic designer, right? And it was easy. I designed graphics. Gave them somebody, they did other stuff with them. And then you progress and you become an art director, right? And then you become a creative director. And then you continue to evolve, and there's new media, and there's all these different things. And if you continue to evolve and you learn all these things, I pose the challenge is how do you present yourself to your colleagues, to your target audiences, so that you do right by yourself in creating enough of the opportunities, but make sure that we are communicating correctly what we want to be known for. So I think that what you do depends on who you are, right, and what you want to be. So I'd like to go around the room and find out who you are, right? As indicated on the stopwatch, we're going to give you about 15 seconds, right? And I'd like to test the room a bit and just see who you are and what do you do.
My name's Mark. No, Rod, this is not the way we do it. So let me jump in. Every one of you sit in front of a laptop. So you're gonna find your website or find your LinkedIn page.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So all of you, you're sitting at a laptop.
Thank you for reminding me.
You got a website. You got a LinkedIn page.
So as you're sitting by the computer.
Yes. Find it.
Thank you for
find it on this
reminder.
laptop. Find your website. The one that you want to share. And gentlemen, if you're back there, we can't see you. You're gonna have to come on up here.
Right. So pull your website, your LinkedIn profile.
Jump on this one and do it.
Up on, and we're gonna go kind of round, and we're gonna give you 15 seconds to kind of tell us who you are, what you do, and we'd love to see how you present yourself in that title. So LinkedIn profiles tend to work out very good because you had to like fill in the slot that says job title, right?
Am I included in that?
Right. So let me know, put your hand up when you're ready, when you've got yours up, and we'll start going around that way.
We'll do you guys in just a second. But go ahead. No, these guys are going to have to be last, okay?
Okay, sorry, you now have. So let me know who's got your, Elo, you got to play our game too, man. You got to be on a computer.
Who's ready? Who's got one up? Left side up should be across the room somewhere.
You can use this one.
Raise your hand when you're up.
Okay.
Okay, or you got,
and he's on number 10, so
cleverly labeled 10 at the bottom of your monitor, right?
I need to sign in. So this is a resume or a portfolio website that I'm working on, and I'm a recent college graduate in psychology and philosophy, and all my life I've been an artist, and after graduating I realized that there's not very much for me in psychology and philosophy. So I'm trying to jump back into web design and graphics design. And so I'm building this. This is my first website.
Number 10.
And I also have this one right here. This is for a friend of mine.
Okay, this is all about you.
Okay.
So let's go back to you.
All right, back to me.
Right,
All right.
with your very diverse background. When somebody says, "So, what do?" You tell them what?
Well, I work on coding.
Tick.
And I work on I make art. I make art and I do coding. So I can style your website and I can do artwork for you.
And this is where the challenge is, right? Because you can do amazing things, but we need to be able to compartmentalize that, right? Because it's easy, like, you know, my first wife. It always sounds horrible when you start the thing is my first wife. All right, so they were from the Midwest, and they had great expectations that their daughter would marry like a doctor or a lawyer or a banker, right? Very like nice little box. Oh, I get exactly what you do, right? So I showed up, and they're like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I've got an event production company, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this," and they're just looking at me like, "Man, this kid is trouble." Right? It was just because I was into a whole bunch of different things. I was doing skateboard promotions at the time and whatnot. And I think a lot of times in those first impressions, when you tell somebody what you do, it's either very concise and very kind of to the point, or you're like, "Well, I kind of do this and I kind of do that," and I unfortunately fall into the same trap because I'm like, "Well, I'm a communications director of an agency and I do speaking and I'm an author and I do this, you know, and my wife doesn't even know how to tell people like what her husband does at work." Right? So it's a challenge for all of us. Who's got another screen up? Please, which number are you on?
Number 5.
Number 5. Number 5, right over here. Right, you scroll to the top, please.
Well, the top is my picture.
There you go. Design lead art director at Horse and Trumpet. So tell me about what you do, Mark.
Basically, I'm a freelance design consultant, and my specialty is environmental print and branding.
How long have you been doing that?
What time is it? Almost 20 years.
Are you having fun?
Oh yeah. I wake up and teach myself every day.
There you go. Who else got up? Come on.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go, sir.
I'm at
number 4.
Number 4.
Clever these guys is number 4.
Yeah. My background is system design engineering, but that was not necessarily have anything to do with information technology, but that's where I got a job.
So when you meet somebody at a fine event like this and they say, "So, what do?" You tell them, I'm
a system design engineer. And one of the artifacts of that is a 6,000-page website about renewable energy and a global electricity grid. And I wrote my first paper in 1995. And we've written a couple since then. And we've had some great success. And there are now, we started with 50 pairs of nations trading electricity. Now we're over 110 pairs of nations trading electricity, and we're one link away from electrifying the Americas.
And again, it's too much for a business card, just about right for a flyer. Who else has got a screen up? Please, which number are you?
Number 9.
Number 9, in the corner. Ariel.
So my official title is undergraduate research assistant, but I'd say ultimately I'm a student of the world, an artist, and an altruist, and I do different types of art, music, and dabble in graphic design, and
The latter is a much cooler business card, right? But people get, right, undergraduate research assistant, right, 3 little parts. I get totally where you are, right? And but in the creative arts, it's a little harder, right? I'm student of the world. Big thing, right? You got to kind of define that a little more. Could be a whole bunch of things, but that's kind of like when you that's kind of the exercise here, right? How do you present yourself? And it's one thing when you have to fill out these little boxes, or God forbid it's like in a drop down, like you have to pick one of the job titles, right? You know, like in LinkedIn isn't like very good for having different categories. Like I want to say I'm in communications. It makes me be in marketing and advertising, and that's not what I'm in. I'm in different, and like and that's I think indicative of the challenge that business has a lot when they look at the creative field, right? It's like they want to put us in little boxes, although you'll get like, I saw like Web Guru or something was on like a legit list of other job titles, and they had like Web Guru or like what some other kind of silly name. But I think that's the challenge that we have. Who else has got a screen up?
You guys can run
over here.
You guys,
Please.
Michael, did you go to?
Sure, I'm Doug Means.
Which number are you?
I am over here, number 12.
There you go, number 12.
Number 12. I help people that develop WordPress for other people. I help them really look good to their clients. I do web hosting and domain name registration since 1999. I'm also a business networking consultant. To my chagrin, I get more compliments over my business networking, what I do for other people as opposed to what I do for my business. But that's the way it goes with LinkedIn. I also have a hobby site, which is a Baja Nomad, which is a forum site for Baja California travelers, and have 20,000 unique visitors a month for that.
Very nice.
With the domain name.
Okay. Very nice. Very concise. Who else is up?
Mine is.
It's time. Show what you got.
Elo, you up?
Yeah.
Elo.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
There we go. Elo, tell us about it, buddy.
So that's my website. It's actually an open book since I like collages since I was a kid.
Elo designer.
Yeah, so I did everything based on collage stuff. I had so many titles in my whole life, good ones, bad ones. I just call myself now entrepreneur. That's it.
There you go.
Sounds cooler.
Was it entrepreneur? Entrepreneur. Right?
Entrepreneur. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you expect somebody that says so your intent is to get what type of work? Design, logos, etc.
My passion is design.
So I would assume the first keyword that I would search with on LinkedIn when I'm looking for an awesome designer is entrepreneur.
No.
No.
No. Right. There's the disconnect. Right. So I think a lot of times when you present yourself, that I think you have to be conscious of the ramifications of being cute or being funny or being bigger picture, right? And that's great when you're all big picture in your mind and you want to, and you want to be all these different things and you want to project that out. But I believe most of us are here because are in this field because we're trying to get paid to do this work on a regular basis, right? So from my experience, it's been difficult. If people don't understand what you do, then you don't get that kind of work. Like for me, because I'm like, well, I'm a communications director, but I'm really good in social media, and I can do all this stuff. And I can't think of the last time that says, you know what, we need somebody who's a communications director that does a lot of the social media stuff and write a book and blah, blah. It's like they want to just write you up in this little box. They're like, I needed this, right? The plumbing goes in your bathroom. You're like, I need a plumber, right? My website blew up, or the guy who does my web dev melted down on me. I need a web developer. Right, that's who they're thinking about. They're not thinking about an entrepreneur. They're not thinking about a student of the world. Right, you're not going to make the short list. Right, so it's kind of that give and take that you have to consider on how you present yourself, let alone the challenges that we have with what they call our jobs now. Who else has got another screen up? Please.
I'm actually going to speak to what you're talking about. I'm an in-house designer.
Gonzo number 3.
Designer. My box is
number 3.
Graphic designer number 3.
There you go.
However, even within in-house, I'm in a marketing department at local credit union. I handle social media. I handle email marketing. I handle the design projects, print, some web, environmental, a little bit of everything. You need to be concepting. I copyright. I edit. The collaborators, and plus you always have to, since we do have customers to think about the stuff goes out into the world, I just have to be mindful of, okay, if I'm somebody that walks into one of our branches, do I get this? Do I understand this? Is it too much? Is it point? Is it strategic?
So who selected graphic designer as the title for your LinkedIn profile?
That's our HR department.
Really?
So my current challenge is to put all that other stuff in a description, because what they do for me especially, because I'm very unusual in that industry, they go to like the Hay system, or they go to these other bigger boxes and go, oh, graphic design, okay, here's that job description.
And here's the pay that goes with that stuff,
exactly.
Based on this other data.
Absolutely, so that is a huge
So those people are taking advantage of you, so we both know this. So we have to figure out how to change that.
Correct. That's why there's not a
be
whole lot of
different
content. You
box.
can scroll down my LinkedIn page, there's not a lot of content, because I'm trying to figure out this. This is a big nut for me right now.
Right.
For the next, where I might want to go next or something.
Yeah.
If somebody reads through that and goes, yeah, we could use one of those. Somebody could wear a lot of hats and.
That's another thing, under presenting you what your potential is in it. So I understand the why, and we've identified the challenge. Now, how do we address the challenge? Okay. Who else has got a screen up?
Do these guys at the front table, would you? So, because we.
Gentlemen, please. Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
6.
Mike Russell. My latest paid gig was as a field energy consultant for Solar City. That has nothing to do with this group, but that's what I got paid for. As far as real life, I guess I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done a lot of different things, web development, but I call myself sometimes a producer, sometimes just an entrepreneur. But I don't box myself in, and I wear different hats in different groups, different areas.
And you do this why?
Because people want to put you in a box, so you have to give them something that they can grab onto.
But you don't want to get limited to one box, so you have more opportunities with more boxes.
I created a bunch of boxes and just let people find them on their own.
So what happens when one guy sees two boxes?
They generally are impressed. Generally.
What happens when they see 3 boxes?
Yeah.
They're just like more impressed with the more boxes?
They were like, wow, I didn't know you were also a paralegal. Wow, I didn't know you wrote things. I didn't know you could do public speaking. You know, I didn't know you could code. I mean, they're just eyes open.
Okay.
They see more dimensions.
Good point. Okay, yours up.
My name's Rich. I'm a graphic designer.
You gotta speak louder, Richard, so everybody back here can hear you too.
My name's Rich. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm trying to position myself as a mixture of design, strategy, and writing. That's my aspiration. So to stay somehow in those 3 areas, I'm still trying to figure out what that title is. I think it exists, but most of my professional experience has been in design. I work in publishing now.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
Either probably communications or creative director.
Who else is up that we haven't looked at? Or here, please, your number?
That one, number 11.
Number 11.
My name is Khan Nguyen, and at heart I'm an illustrator. And because of technology, I'm able to draw using a computer, and that lends itself to a multitude of different jobs. Here is a collection of all the comics that I did in 2013. I update my website about once a week, and these are snippets of all the panels. And yeah, I really love making comics, and illustration would be an ideal end goal for me if I can illustrate professionally. But at the same time, I do like the aesthetic appeal of design solving problems, and I also do architecture drafting within MicroStation, which is a version of AutoCAD. So lots of drawing.
So when you first meet somebody, you introduce yourself as an illustrator, and then as you discuss the types of work, you
With
go down.
specialization in digital illustration.
So you have a large umbrella first, right, where they can kind of get an idea what you do, and then you have conversations that tell us about the different specialties. That's a very good strategy. Who else has got up that we haven't taken a look at? Sir?
I'm an 8.
Number 8. That's number 8. Sean?
Yes. I fashion myself as a social media influential for tourism venues and a LinkedIn Jedi. I have 25,000 contacts on LinkedIn.
I know. I think we are connected.
We are connected
one of your
for quite
flock.
some time.
We are connected. Yeah.
A lot of people connected with me. I specialize in social media engagement, supporting airlines, cruise ships, hotels, resorts, museum, parks, casinos, music venues, authors, restaurants, and a passion for tequila brands.
Got a lot of stuff going on, brother. Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I try to open it up to a bunch of different things.
But and then yet is another strategy, right? Is there anybody we haven't looked at yet? Please.
Number 1.
Number 1.
My name is Jennifer Jo Lufaro, and I was trained as a graphic designer thinking I would design magazines. Well, print is dying, and now I am picking up anything I can learn about web and social media and project directing. So I've been a mom and running my studio out of the house for about 10 years, and now I'm able to work more, and all of a sudden the industry's completely changed. So I realize I'm really good at project directing and like remodeling houses and inspiring and teaching, and I think maybe project direction is where I'm going to go. But anything creative I just absorb quickly, whether it be computer programs or building something or drawing. So I'm kind of looking at like where I I haven't had to market myself in 10 years because things just came to me, and now all of a sudden it's this weird. I've moved towns, and now I built a website out of WordPress. I didn't even know WordPress, but you know, diving into whatever I can get my hands on, figuring where I'm going to land and where I want to land. So.
What a creative must adapt and overcome. Right?
Well, and it's fun. I mean, I like change. That's why we're in this industry. I didn't figure it'd be a constant, but it's
Yeah, right. I don't think anybody got into this because I want to do the same thing every day.
But it's frustrating too, because you're like, oh, you know, graphic designer, and everyone wants to pay you $15 an hour, and I'm like, what?
Exactly. Yeah, right. Well, I think that the compensation thing is a whole other conversation, right? I mean, the biggest challenge is there anybody else that's got something up that we haven't looked at yet? Yes, sir. Yes, please, Peter. What you got, buddy? Where are you at?
I'm over on number 4 here, and you're sort of in our venue. I'm the director of the World Resource Sim Center. We have a bifurcated website here because we, on the left-hand side, we do rent this space and make it available for people to use it, as you are doing tonight. But we also visualize solutions, and that's our higher and better use, is to visualize sustainable solutions to global and local problems, so that society, makes more informed choices quicker. That's our nonprofit work. We do that during the day, and in the evening, we invite you guys to come.
I still think we have the word Jedi into your title or something. Like Obi-Wan Peter.
Okay.
You're gonna have to look at. All right. Anybody else? Did we get everybody?
Well, I'm not up on a screen, but I currently have a business development and community development title. I do a lot of event production, cultural creative work, basically producing value in society through societal connection. It includes marketing, includes sales, includes management, budgets, finance, everything under the sun, pretty much.
I start visualizing a diagram.
Yeah.
Right. It's again, you got a lot of different things on that, right? And what I think we heard and here is that we have some people that are just in very concise packages, right? And then you have others that are do this and doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this, and there's some variations in between, right? Like I'm sure Mark, yours again, the lead art director, design lead art director. I would think that most people get exactly pretty close to what you do.
Sure.
Right? Student of the world. I'm wondering how long that conversation is until they actually know why they would give you money to work for them. I mean, and I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just trying to show the example, like the range that we have, right? One fits in a box, one doesn't fit in a box, and I think that's our challenge. Right? How do we describe what we do, but for what purpose, right? I think there's got to be purpose, and I think it depends on what we do, right? So with that, I want to kind of dance through history a little bit to find out how we got to this place as creatives, when it used to be oh so simple, right? You got any Mad Men fans? Right, and that's because of course, right. Well, those of us who are old enough, like, to remember, like some of the Madison ads. Like, I'm a David Ogilvy fan, right? Big fan of Ogilvy, right? Ogilvy and Mather, right? So I grew up like he was one of my idols, and I like the whole ad agency, Madison Avenue kind of thing. But it was easy then, right? I mean, or if you watch Bewitched, anybody know Bewitched? Young people, you can Google it, right? Right? But there was an ad agency of Bewitched, right? And Mr. Tate was the owner, right? And then Darren was the account guy, right? And he did some other stuff. But it was simple. It was a couple jobs. You were either a copywriter or an art director, right? You had a photographer, a production guy, and there was the secretary that the owner chased around, right? Or would take out for like 3 drinks, back in the day kind of thing. Right, but it was easy. I mean, can anybody remember any other job titles from back in the day, Madison Avenue type stuff? That's it. I mean, I'm sorry. Anybody else? I mean, it was easy then, right? You did this. Like you either drank at lunch and got guys to give your agency money, or like you were the creative guy or the copy guy or something. But this is what it was. But at that time, back in the day, they were just full service ad agencies. You had a business type that took care of communicating to the target markets, right? And then, because everything has to get complicated and involved with time, right? You created silos, right? You had advertising, well then you had marketing. Well, if you could have marketing, then you could have branding and public relations and creative and design and production and events. And I'm sure this is a good thing. But one of the residues that came from this is that, and that became a kind of an us against them type of thing, right? Yeah, ad agencies were historically the agency of records, but now they had to deal with other firms, right? Marketing firms who thought they knew what was going on because they did the marketing research, and PR thought that they were in charge of the account because they got in front of the media, all right? The creatives and designers thought they were all full of shit, right? Because these are the ones that, you know, I'm really the power, and you know, I built this brand. And you have production and event people, you have everybody competing for the money and the glory, right? Everybody wants to run the account, everybody wants the bigger piece of the pie, because when you dice this up, now ad agencies don't get that much money, and this is where the competitive portion comes in, and you start working in these different silos. And with each of these different silos came other job titles based upon what you did. So if you're in marketing, now you're not just in marketing, you're either management or research or strategy or an analyst or communications or direct marketing or integrated marketing, because it can't be just easy. Right? If you're in PR, it depends my focus. I'm either in public relations or media relations or government relations or crisis management or meeting training. And there's just all these different choices. Even when you get into production, and then went to director and producer and editor, and cameraman, soundman, and animator, gaffer, and assistant. And it goes on and on and on. And there's this splintering and this fragmentation, right, that only got worse when we got into corporate influence. Agencies, as they got bigger, they started getting layers because they learned from their client about structure and hierarchy, and let's scale the business, and we put creative teams together. And now you just don't have an art director, you have to have a junior art director because you want to pay him $15 an hour, right? So you call him a junior art director, and the form says I can only pay you up to this much, right? And then after you eat a bunch of shit and you do a lot of work, you can be an art director, and then someday you can kiss this guy's ass and take his job when he retires, right? And it's just that bad. Who's worked in ad agencies? Right? Is it any better than I described it? There you go. Hate to be the cold winter reality, but that's how it worked at ad agencies. It got corporate, right? It's not because I've got a passion for this work. It's because it's now there's the account guy and HR and owners running this business. And you know, we used to always joke that we're a creative shop. We used to have like a token account guy, right? Because it's a different mindset in this business when you start treating it like a corporate, like a corporation. Right? And that's again, that escalates that challenge when you want to have this title that you know that is part of you being an artist and something that you're passionate about, but it doesn't work, right? You're a round peg in this very small corporate hole, and it doesn't jive. That's a challenge. Other challenges came in when the entrepreneurs came in, C-level influence, right? Now you got a chief marketing officer, and a chief creative officer, and a chief digital strategist, and a chief everything else, right? You got another one, chief customer advocate, right? These are just some of the ones that I found. But you got to put it here, and then everybody, of course, would go to the acronyms because they want to impress everybody. Oh, so what are you? Oh, I'm a CCO. What the hell's a CCO, right? You know, like, and it only became worse when they came, you know, when these. When the descriptors just got worse, and you're like, are you kidding me? And they said it like with a straight face, right? And you know, it only got worse when the internet came around, because what happens is the media, look at over time, it fragmented. Internet got even worse. Now it just can't be the internet, it's either web or e-commerce or SEO or social media, word of mouth, or you're a digital agency or a digital media. Do you remember when it was simple? Right? It's not simple now. And you got people that are webmasters and web mistresses and a web guru and a social media expert. I had some girl tell me she's a social media maven. Who the hell picked that name out? A social media maven. Right? Digital overlord, these are real ones I found. Retail Jedi, I'm not kidding you. Problem wrangler, and God forbid, a brand evangelist. Right? So the challenge is, you know, how do you make, what's that next evolution, right? So it's nice to see that some of these have gotten legitimized over the last couple of years, right? I'm seeing a lot less webmasters and web mavens, right? We're seeing social media director, digital strategist, email marketing strategist, cannabis marketing specialist. At least these words, I understand what they mean by those words, right? You see that transition over time where it's just, you know, marketing got a little full of itself. And you're like, oh, if I put a chief in front of it, surely I must be, you know, worth more money and much more, you know, powerful and influential. And, you know, just layers and layers and layers. And I keep getting back to it. I remember when it used to be simple, and it's not simple. It's not just to be like you're that awesome guy that anybody calls when they need somebody to be a photographer, or I need a great logo, or I need you to do some print and work on some web thing. It just gets very, very confusing. And I think for a lot of us, it becomes very frustrating, right? Anybody frustrated trying to market themselves right? You can do all these wonderful things, right? And there's like, if people only knew how many awesome things you could do, right? You would work more, they would pay you more money, you would work on cooler stuff, right? So the challenge is, how do you communicate that, right? And my answer to you is, it depends. What's the outcome you desire, right? So who's just in it for the money? Wants to make a ton of money, right? No, right? Who wants to do it purely for the art's sake, right? I'm so passionate about this, I don't care whatever I make, I just want to do it because to follow my passion in my heart. Yeah, I know a little bit, sure, you know. But so the rest of us, are we agree that we're somewhere in the middle, right? Because we don't want to be the sellout, right? And you don't want to feel like, you know, I'm just doing this for the money, you know, right? You want to get some kind of reward out of it. But this is where you have to reflect and figure out, what do you want out of this, right? And this is where we insert the conversation here, right? You've worked in this business for how many years? Right, 16? I know, right? So how many different job titles have you had over 16 years?
Right. Probably.
I'll tell you when I started, right? So I started at 25 because I worked for this guy for 4 years in video and event production. And after 4 years, I listened to him say, "Don't forget whose agency this is," right? And I'm like, jackass, right? Every time he would say that, right? Because I was busting my hump for this guy, right? I'm in my early 20s, right? And all I want is what's coming to me. I'm working hard, you know, I want a little payday. And I wasn't getting my payday. So at 25, when my first daughter was born, I quit and I started my agency. I'm like, if a jackass like that can have an agency, surely I know everything I need to know at 25. And I will start my own agency, right? So with the zest and yield of a 24-year-old, does just remember being 25, like in the world was ours? Sure. Right? That's how I started my agency. But you know, and I was gonna be the president, right? And oh no, I'm sorry, the first one was creative director, because that was like the czar of all things creative in the land in 1990, right? If you were the guy, you were the creative director, right? There's no being greater than the creative director. So I'm like, I'm gonna start agency, I'll just be a creative director. And all my other friends are like assistant art directors and graphic designers, right? They're all starting at the same point. I just went right to guy in charge, right? In fact, that buddy, 20 years later, he ended up getting appointed to as a creative director, and I congratulated him, welcome to the club. I said, I've been waiting 20 years for you. So at some point, I went from creative director to president, right? Because we had 11 people on staff, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be a president now. Change up the business cards and all this stuff. And I started getting introduced as the president. And you know what happened? What do you think happened when I changed my title to president, when I introduced myself as the president of the agency?
Started being treated about like a suit.
I was the suit. I was the guy that showed up to sign contracts, like shake hands, kiss babies, right? And I says, yeah, nice to meet you, welcome to my idea house, right? But nobody thought I did a damn thing, because I was the president, right? Because remember, like, you know, I remember when I was in the creative ranks, right? President, owner, all those guys didn't do anything. We did all the work, right? And those guys just made a lot more money than us and decided to pay us $15 an hour, right? So I went through this whole president thing because I thought it'd be kind of cool. And then I realized how people they didn't look at me as somebody who was working can contribute. And I didn't get the same type of work when I changed that. So then I changed it back to creative director, but now we were big enough and we were working with larger companies. And what happens when one creative director shows up where another creative director is?
Bang heads.
Banging heads, man. Right? That's very territorial. Right? It's two roosters in the hen house. It's not gonna happen. Right? So then we were getting pebbles thrown in our path every time that we showed up at a place that had a creative director, because I was now I was a creative director. So I'm like, all right, man, now what do I do? Right? So then I rolled to communications director. I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna reposition this, right? Because we were battling against like web shots and other ad agencies, for the same work, right? So then they're like, oh, well, we need a website. Well, we can do your website, and then you had to put in your bid and like all that kind of crap, right? And then we want to do a logo and a stationery system, and then we had to bid against that. I'm just bidding against these guys, one after another. And I'm thinking about this. I'm like, man, all right, so I'm in a bidding situation where I got a bunch of people whoring themselves out and giving this work away, because everybody's trying to buy the work on price, because for whatever reason. And I got creative directors inside the client that's throwing pebbles in my path, telling me, "No, we don't need that guy. We should go with the other cheap guy that doesn't have a creative director." So what's a business to do? Any ideas? I mean, I'll venture to tell you, but you can play my game and guess. right? So I came up with the new title of communications director, right? And now this is where we go to the charts, right? So this is my genius strategy. Feel free to repurpose it, give me credit when it works. And if it doesn't, I have nothing to do with this, right? So so you have like advertising, right? You have marketing projects, you have design, right? You have web, etc. Right? And then any other types of things. Well, as a creative director, right? And I'm selling against all these guys on this line, right? At other agencies, other marketing firms, other design shops, other web shops, right? And I'm fighting on price, man. Everybody wants to fight me on money on this, right? And I'm, so I got to deal with the person who makes the decisions on this. And at this level, I'm looking at like a marketing manager, right? Brand manager. And these guys have to deal with price. Why?
They got a budget.
They got a budget, right? And can that guy change his budget? Probably not. Probably not, right? But you know who can change his budget? The CEO. So I'm like, bag this guy, man. I'm gonna go to this guy, right? And I'm gonna call myself a communications director, right? And I'm gonna tell this guy what I see about every one of these guys. Right? And what they don't have and that they need, I wonder who I'm going to recommend for doing that work. So now I go to the guy, give him intelligence that he doesn't have, talking about communications planning, which is the 10,000-foot view of all this stuff. I get out of the rat race fighting against these guys, right? And I position myself both through my title, through my LinkedIn profile, and through all the stories I say, right, and the language that I use when I speak to this man. Right? My sales coach, Mike Bosworth, always used to tell me that you get relegated to the person you sound like, right? So if you come in there talking about money and and proposals and all this other kind of stuff, right? You're going to get to this guy because that's the guy who talks about new vendors and introduce yourself to my company and all that other kind of stuff. But if you can do more, if you can create a greater value proposition to somebody higher up the food chain, you may not make all the way to here, but maybe like a senior VP, you change your stars quite a bit. So that's what I did with a job title that allows me as a communications director that I can do all this other different stuff, and it makes sense. What do you think? Yeah. I know, right? I'm kind of excited about it too. It's worked out great for the last 8 years. Right? But it's one of the things that I was able to do to still do all the things that I really wanted to do, and I'm still able to be passionate about it and use different lines like play well with others and and to address advertising, marketing, branding, and play with technology, all this other different stuff. It just has to make sense to the people that want to hire me and to give me large amounts of money.
Yeah, but how do you pass that firewall?
Well, you got to look like the guy that gets into that. So.
You gotta wear a Green Hornet t-shirt.
Oh no, man! You gotta wear at least a sport coat for that. I'll show you real quick. All right, so I want to show you. This is how. So all those cool things that you guys all did. So I put them. We always joke. Everybody lies on their website, right? We put our stuff. I did this, and we're the best this, and we worked with all these companies, and watch me make the logos big, and I'm going to totally impress you. Right? Everybody lies on the website. But what I see is that LinkedIn is an opportunity for third-party credibility, right? Because now you got to do that in public. You got to say, I'm this job title in front of I'm like 3,000 whatever different people that I'm in, right? And so I think there's just something there, right? And then you got to have what I call them, you got to have some merit badges. Right? Anybody in Boy Scouts back? I was a Boy Scout. Hard to believe, I know, but I was. Right, so I was going to show you a couple of the things I think makes a difference. First of all, I got my title. If we go here, right, I'll need that one. So, communications director, speaker, author, just like I told you, you see the same here. So now I'm reinforcing, yep, it said that in this PowerPoint, says it on LinkedIn. You're going to make the assumption I'm not telling a lie, and you can tell people I met a guy who's a communications director, speaker, and author. right? And also because they have the character count available, I threw in my clarifier. Well, what does that mean? Why do I care? Helping business figure out what to say and how to say it, right? Gets a little close to understanding where I am and what I can do to contribute to my prospects, right? You throw up, you know, this we're not, again, they want to put me in marketing, advertising, communications isn't available. You put all your fill in the blank stuff, right? But I keep calling these, I call these merit badges because people look at this stuff, and even if they give you the quick scan, first of all, you got to get the 500 plus, because they want to see somebody at that level. To your point, they want to see somebody who's connected and been around a little bit, right? So we're looking for pedigree at this point. Short little summary. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is who I help. You should connect with me. Not blah 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 blah. I don't care this much. I care this much, right? Because people don't read. They scan, right? You give them too much, you're going to start blowing over stuff, right? I'm able to throw videos in here. This is videos related with my book. I list my publications. I've been published several times besides the book. Skills and expertise. I'm off the charts, baby. Social media marketing, where I'm at today. I got 379 people. So if I told you that I could help your social media marketing program, would you believe me? Sure. 379 people are not going to lie. Like, I got a bunch of friends, but not 379 people are going to say, yeah, he's all that, right? So
did you pay LinkedIn to get those people to sign that? Or?
I did not.
No.
I did not. Right? So this looks better than any report card my mother ever saw from me, man. But I got 99s all down the pike here on all the things that I want to do. And I also pruned off the ones I didn't. Question?
Doesn't LinkedIn actually prompt people to do those automatic endorsements?
They do prompt, but it doesn't twist their arm to click on the little button.
Exactly. But it only gives them options that are relevant to the traditional jobs that other people, or the things that other people are endorsing you for.
No, it gives me. I'm allowed to add skills to that list, and then people are prompted. It's a bit of a algorithm to the most that you get endorsed for. And then every once in a while, like if you add a new one, it'll throw it up there and people. So you can't really game it, but you know, you can give it a nudge in the right direction.
Because I know a lot of people who have gotten very high endorsements for things that they're like, this isn't really.
Oh, I've seen some people, like I got prompted. I'm like, you know, this guy, somebody told me that, you know, this girl. I saw a woman recently that told me that she was a photographer. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, that girl. Yeah. So, or you see skills that like people get prompted, and you're like, and you know this guy, and you're like, are you? Seriously, you know, that's a skill set for you? No. So yeah, they can be kind of game, but this is how, right? Because when they come to check you out, to your point, they go through this, the CEO guy, right? If I hit up this guy and try to go direct to him, they're going to say, what's the first three things these guys are going to do when I introduce myself to somebody, right? If the guy's interested in finding out about me, what's the first three things you think somebody's going to do?
Facebook,
LinkedIn page.
LinkedIn, maybe.
Wait, website, LinkedIn page. Probably Google you, right? Something along that line. Because I would have, right? Because you got to vet this guy, right? You're letting him into the, you know, however big the company is at CEO level. You're going to give somebody X amount of money or control of all this stuff. You got to pass the smell test, right? So you have to have the merit badges and all the accoutrement that is expected with somebody going to come and say, "Let me run your company." Right? I got all my experience listed. I've got 47 recommendations, 49 for that. I think I've got like a total of 82 recommendations, right? Speaker, author, right? I walk on water, I cure cancer, et cetera, et cetera. You know, but this is all the stuff that you expect to see, right? Board member, blah, 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 member this, host, producer, you know, I did all this, instructor, adjunct professor, come on, like who, like sales coach, I'm boring myself here, projects, right? And I'm making light of this a little bit, but this is the kind of stuff you have to go to the CEO level, right? You've got to be able to demonstrate that you're the guy that you say that they are.
But also, too, is like the way that you're also kind of going against, like, are you able to describe yourself in different sectors?
Yeah, and that's what I do mine, right? I'm communications director, my company's Idea House. I have my clients figure out what to say and how to say it to their target markets. And my language does change a little bit as I go to the CEO, right? Because people want to hear, like something that's important to them, right? He doesn't care that I wrote a book. Right? What's a CEO care about? Bottom line. What other type of thing?
Staying CEO.
Sorry?
Staying CEO.
Staying a CEO. How do you get that, right? By making sure your board doesn't kick you the heck out of that spot. There's two things that I usually see a CEO wants to do. He's worried about his brand, right? Because either if people are looking at his company or they're trying to set the company up for a sale or acquisition or something else, right? So there's managing that brand, and the other is in revenue, right? I got to hit my numbers, right? So those are the two things. So when I talk to the CEO, I have to talk in CEO talk, because if I don't, then I get sent to somebody else. Right. So that's how I've done it, right? You gotta, I decided on who I wanted to be, and then I went and I made sure that I was able to pass the test. Admittedly, early on, a lot of this was to compensate for, okay, so when I was in college, right, so I was a DJ and I was a lifeguard, right? I partied my butt off in school, took the 5-year plan, was in no rush, but I was in communications. I was programming major my first 2 years. I transferred to communications, and I knew I had all these different interests, but there wasn't a lot of people that were giving me the opportunity or the credit to get that first shot right out of school, right? So I had to do things to demonstrate that I had the ability and I was worthy of these different opportunities. So I took on projects. I worked on different boards. I got an advisory board. I started teaching. I got my undergrad as in communications and psychology. My master's is in multimedia technology. My doctoral studies were in instructional technology. I was an adjunct professor for 6 years. I wrote a book, right? And and to some degree, I've been trying to making sure that I am credentialized enough so I don't have to deal with that criticism and the critics that I got early in my career. And in doing so, all of a sudden I realized I had way more than I needed it, right? So I mean, it's not like you need, I think it's harder to get a dog license than be a creative, in this field. But to my point, right? It's at what level of creative do you want to be, right? I mean, because you have to do something that allows you to be a professional creative, right? You have to be able to make a living doing this. You also have to, if you got into this for the passion portion, that you had to make sure that you don't feel like you sold your soul to get there. And that's why I took the long route. I had buddies that went the corporate route, and 20 years later, they finally got to be a creative director. But they had to kiss a lot of ass to get there, right? And they had to do a lot of bad work, and they did stuff that they just had to do. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's different than the path I took. They look at me and they think, I did 20 the hard way. I had to go out and fight for mine every day because it was my agency. But that's where my passion was, right? I wanted to go learn what I wanted to learn. I wanted to follow new trends. I wanted to play with new technologies. I wanted to invent stuff. That's why I got into it. So again, depends on what the outcome you desire is. So I can tell you real quickly on some of the naming structures that we've come up with. Ours is simple, right? I try to be very flat when it comes to hierarchy. Communications director, that's me. I'm the guy that does stuff and tells everybody what to do. I lead development of the plan. You got an account director, creative director, project manager, right? That account person's got an account manager, assistant, and maybe an intern. And for the creatives, either creative assistant, or creative intern. It's very flat, right? I think the more that you want to get all fancy, I think it limits what you do. And I think as new technology comes, even when social media came along 8 years ago, I was early in on social media and I killed it. It was, for me, it was the perfect storm of all the stuff that we learned already. It was a little bit of direct marketing, some advertising headlines, some multimedia, a little bit of design. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. I got parts laying around, I'm killing it, right? That and a little bit of experience in Match.com, some A/B testing on photos that work to try and get reactions, and presto changeo in social media, right? But what I saw is the accolades that I was getting for social media was now making me a social media expert. Right? I spent all my career trying to be in communications, and now they wanted to put me in a little box that who knows how this new thing was going to go, right? And so my first book was about communications. The second one will be about social media. I'm very conscious about how I present myself and those people in my company. I do have some words of wisdom I'd like for you to keep in mind when you are selecting a title. All right, first off, you get one shot at a first impression, seriously, right? I've done some stuff I thought was funny, was gonna be cute. Yeah, funny and cute doesn't work so good. So, save that for your family, right? This is business, right? And you only do get a shot of it, and especially if you're going high up at the CEO. Right, number two, this is business. You have to compete, right? Unless you've got a trust fund or your family's just gonna hook you up the rest of your life, you gotta make money doing this, right? And I don't know how many people want to make the same money, you know, year after year. You want to make more money, you want to work on cooler stuff. I would assume there's a natural progression that everybody is trying to get to, right? Remember, this is business, right? It's the business of being a creative, right? Don't give yourself away. Number 3, if they don't understand what you do, how will they know when to call, right? So think about who you want to call you, and what do they have to think of you, and as a job title, for them to call you, right? You can't be like this and this and this and this and this and this and this, right? Take it from somebody who tried to be this and this and this and this and this and this. They don't call so much, right? And eventually you try to ride that thing out for too long, they don't call at all. It does trail off. They're like, hey, he doesn't do that. He used to do awesome stuff, and now he writes books. Like, no, I don't. I still work. I just happen to put speaker, author stuff, or you know, when I did the book, I switched it to founder and CEO, because like my publicist and agent thought, oh, that'll look awesome because you're like, you know, all this and all that, right? Phone stopped ringing. Like, oh, well, he's out writing books now, right? They're not calling me to do work. So, you know, it took me about 3 months, and I'm like, I'm gonna change that back, and then the phone started ringing again. Next, specialist or generalist, pick one. It doesn't work when you try to do both. It's okay to pick one. Be super awesome at one thing, maybe 2 things, and they'll just like, oh my God, we need somebody that's awesome. Like, oh, we should call her, she's awesome, right? That's how it works. You know, or you can't sometimes do everything, but this time, you know, when they need a specialist or somebody that just kills it, you can't say, oh, well, I super killed it in that. I know I told you I did all. It just doesn't work. Pick one, right? Lastly, you can always change it. I did. I've had 8 different titles over 23 years. It just, you know, there's an evolution to our business. You know, when I started, it was simple. It was print, TV, outdoor, radio. I mean, that was it. You needed 1 million people. You bought ABC during Love Boat, right? It was a no-brainer, right? Now to get 1 million people, how many things do you have to buy to get 1 million eyeballs, right? It's just different, and so are we, right? Ultimately, it comes down to being. We do the same types of things in just different circumstance, right? We only play with a couple different things, right? Color, shape, images, motion, sound, right? You know, there's only so many things we manipulate. We just turn them into different containers, right? But the market in which we work is very complex, and it's just not like it used to be. Those of you who are new to this industry, learn from history. History does repeat itself. The fragmentation that you see, that we see being seniors in this industry, that go to the internet, it's only going to get worse, right? You got 1,000 cable channels. How many are we going to have in another 3 years? What new medium, what new technology? Remember when everything had to be flash? Well, flash isn't around anymore. All of this stuff changes. That's part of the appeal. It's also part of the challenge. Any questions, my friend? I know we ran a little long.
Excellent.
There you go. Good luck. God bless.